friends, and I'm excited to be back to YouTube. This is kind of crazy. So here's what happened. Back in, I believe, October, I announced that I wanted to do a new series on YouTube called Self-Publish with Me, and I announced it and I was super excited, and then I just kind of disappeared off the face of the planet. And I'm sincerely sorry about that. That was obviously not in the plan, but life has a funny way of working against your plans. So I struggle with depression. I'm pretty open about it, and I actually do have a boundary set for myself where when my depression gets to a certain point, I actually stop writing. I know for a lot of you that writing is a great escape for depression, anxiety, and stuff, and that's great, that's awesome. I have just personally found that I can write during most stages of depression, because when you have depression, you kind of deal with it all the time, but there's a certain stage of depression where it is bad enough that when it's hard to write, and when I do write, it's stuff that I don't feel like reflects what I want to put out. So when I hit that stage of depression, which I did probably the beginning of November, I stopped writing because I knew that I wouldn't like what I produce, and I would just sit there and beat myself up rather than be proud of my work. So yeah, that's kind of why I disappeared, was that I hit this point in depression where it was bad enough that I did not feel comfortable writing, and it was better for me to take a break from writing and everything. Yeah, that's why I kind of disappeared. But the nice thing about taking those 2 months off was that it gave me time to kind of evaluate how maybe I want this channel to run and how I can maybe better utilize it. And how I want it to run, basically. So because I am a very visual person, I learn from seeing things. I'm planning that there's going to be less of my face and more of my screens or my processes, because that's what I want to show you guys. And I feel like that's kind of lacking in the writing community, is seeing how things are actually done, to give ideas of how to do things. Because again, we are creative, so obviously my system isn't going to perfectly work for your system, but at least maybe seeing how my system works and how I set it out, you can get ideas of how to create your own system. So there will be more of kind of my screens and my tables and desks and all that, rather than just my face. And with struggling with depression, I realized that trying to churn out videos every week, it sometimes doesn't work, because I can have a week to a week and a half where I don't have the right kind of energy. So my plan is that instead of trying to upload videos once a week, is that I plan to film throughout the month and then upload at least 2 videos on the last day of the month, possibly more depending on how that month goes. And with those 2 videos, there will be at least one kind of monthly wrap up of kind of what happened and everything. As part of this channel is also just me being able to document my adventures in writing. I will be doing less writing accountability videos, especially as I am applying to school. I should be going to school soon. I don't know how my writing is going to be affected by that. Obviously, I won't be writing every day, I think, with that. But I'm hoping that with the writing accountability videos I do put out, I can make them simpler and maybe more interactive for you guys, so that you guys can kind of like follow along, or, something like that. So, how would you want those kind of videos to go if I film those? Like, if I wanted to create an accountability video where you could basically do the writing time with me. How would you want that to be done? I'm curious to see or hear what you would like. So this is basically my monthly wrap-up video. So an update on Self-Publish with me. So as much as I would love to document everything, obviously there's some things that I can't really do. So because I already basically had the idea as soon as I came up with this, there's no accumulating idea video. I do talk about it a little bit in the other video I will post today about building out your plot. I talk a little bit about how I got this idea, but I'm not sure how to talk about that yet. And so, yeah, there's no idea video. There's also not going to be a research video, mostly because I feel like that would be kind of boring. And I'm not a very good researcher. I just kind of read and go. So I don't feel like I would be able to produce a quality research video. So it's starting with building a plot, and then I don't know if I'll release it in January or February, but I will be releasing a character build video next for that series. And I also, for sure, I will be posting kind of a story Bible video in February for this project, so that way you can see a way to organize your information as you are writing, so that you can kind of keep everything straight. So there's some other writing projects I'm working on as well. So I am currently on Wattpad. I just started a new Wattpad account. You can find me with Hannah Stuver. So what I'm doing here is that I'm just posting some stories that I've written and have pretty much completed, but I don't feel the need to go and like publish professionally, or I feel like the work to go through and publish them professionally like isn't worth it. That sounds really weird, but these are the two stories that I plan to release for sure are my NaNoWriMo wins, which while I'm extremely proud of, again, is not quite the content I want to release, but I'm very proud of them and I still want to share them. So you can check out the story that I've started posting, The Rosebush of Arizona. I post a new chapter every Saturday, and it is a Beauty and Beast retelling set in modern times via no magic. So our beast at the end of the story does not become a handsome prince. They stay quote unquote ugly. It's a high school romance, and it's a gender swap romance actually. So our beast is a girl and our beauty is a boy. I really love it. It makes me happy reading it. I recognize that because my character is Native American, I may have made mistakes in portraying, which I really, really hope I haven't. But if I have and you notice it, please just make a comment with a little smiley face next to that paragraph so that I know in the future and I can write better in the future. But I really love this story. I hope you guys will read it and enjoy it as well. I'm also working on a couple of Dungeons and Dragons projects. I'm working on a paladin subclass for D&D that's inspired off of Sailor Moon and kind of that magical girl trope. I have a friend that really wants to play a magical girl, and we've looked over some subclasses, but we don't feel like they're hitting exactly the things that she wants, so I am creating a subclass for her using paladins, because we feel like that kind of fits the theme of magical girls the best. I am also in the idea gathering process of writing a short campaign. Just talking with my husband, and I've been watching a D&D show on YouTube called Dimension 20, and I really like the way that he has his game set up, where one session is info gathering and then the next session is a battle, and it kind of bounces back and forth, and you raise levels and you go up a level every 2 sessions. So I want to write a campaign along kind of that framework, so that people get to experience more levels without feeling like the story is getting dragged out. So I'm challenging myself to write that kind of campaign. So those are kind of the other writing projects that are going on right now. I also wanted to do this when I do these monthly wrap-ups. I also want to talk about reading, because reading is an important part of writing. And if you're not reading, then that's like the best way to improve your writing. So some of the books I have read over the last couple of months, I haven't read a lot, honestly. But I recently read Without the Mask by Charlie Bird. It's a nonfiction book, kind of an autobiography styled book. To get some background, I live near BYU in Utah, and I actually met this author. I cut his hair and we started talking, and he used to be the mascot Cosmo for BYU. For those of you that don't know, BYU is a religious school owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He went to school and he played, the role of Cosmo for several games and stuff. And people just looked up to him and loved him, but he wondered if people would still look up to him and love him in this very religious culture, knowing that he was gay. And the whole book is about coming to terms with being gay, but still wanting to worship in the religion. And it's a super sweet book. I cried throughout the entire thing. And I thought it was really interesting because I think, especially with LGBT, we tend to focus on either, religion, that like religion is bad and horrible for LGBT people and they need to kind of live this certain kind of lifestyle sometimes. And I really like that this kind of combined both, where this guy wants to be, I want to be open and out about being gay, but I also still want to be able to worship how I want to. And I found it really nice and really touching to see kind of this side of the LGBT community and their issues, is trying to find that balance of, well, maybe I still want to worship. So I really love that. And it's a really quick read. I think it's only like 130 pages. So it was like a nice Sunday afternoon read. So I read my first Western novel. I've read a lot of historical novels, but I have not ever read like a straight pulp fiction Western. So that was Blood Sky by Morning by Jory Sherman, and I really enjoyed it. The plot was really fun and really engaging, and I can't wait to finish the rest of the trilogy. But I'll be waiting to finish the trilogy much later because I'm trying to read all the books on my bookshelf that I haven't read. But I found it very engaging, some very interesting ideas and concepts. My only complaint was that I felt like he didn't write the main female character very well. It was cringeworthy at best. But I was actually really surprised. I did spend quite a bit of time at Barnes & Noble kind of browsing through their very tiny Western section because I wanted to make sure I found a book that didn't feel like they were putting down natives. And the book that I picked up, actually, the character is half native and was raised native. So I did find that interesting to see how that kind of tied in and like everything. So it was a really good book, and I'm looking forward to finishing the rest of the trilogy. And then I am currently kind of following in those, the footsteps of that Western. My husband gifted me a collection of Native American folklore and legends and stuff. And I am loving it. I'm kind of taking my time reading it because I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever read like any sort of mythology, fantasy, like fairy tale collection, those things are freaking dense. Like, oh my gosh. But I'm loving it. I really love that they really tried to collect tales from all sorts of different tribes, and I like how they broke it down into kind of like creation myths versus these kinds of myths. I'm still in like the creation myth area. But I've really been enjoying that so far, and hopefully I can share some of the stories with you later. Okay, So yeah, that is it for my January wrap up. I hope you guys are staying safe and warm. It's finally started snowing here in Utah. I'm so like happy and nervous and excited at the same time. Um, and I know that 2020 was awful, but hopefully we can take 2021 and just make it a little better for ourselves, and make the world a little better. So I wish you guys well, and I will see you at the end of February. Okay? Bye.